Coming up on this episode of Flirtations, we're talking about the mind-body-soul connection with our guest, yoga teacher and co-owner of Triad Yoga, Terry Brown. And together, we'll be exploring how mindfulness and self-awareness can help us transcend limiting beliefs, elevate our consciousness, and allow us to step into a deeper relationship with ourselves and with others. How can we be present with ourselves when the dating anxiety and old patterns take over? How can we be with ourselves, our thoughts, feelings, and emotions when this experience is really uncomfortable and all we want to do is run? In a dating landscape that constantly pulls us in different directions, learning to trust ourselves, heal, and grow requires more than just good intentions. It's a practice. But don't worry, flirties. We got you. We'll also talk a bit about yoga and what yoga is truly about, because I am a yoga teacher too. So if you've ever felt stuck, disconnected, or unsure how to move forward in dating or in life, this episode is here to remind you the answers you seek have been within you all along. Let's do this, flirties.
I heard you wanted to flirt. I heard you wanted to flirt. I heard you wanted to flirt. Hello, my name is Benjamin. I'm the flirt coach and a gay Libra. Everyone has an inner flirt.
Hey, flirty.
Live, laugh, flirt.
Work the flirt.
Work the flirt. Delulu is the Salulu. Expert on the flirt.
Hey, flirty. There's always another flirt.
Everyone has an inner flirt. Get out of your head and into the flirt.
Flirties, today we are going to be elevating our consciousness, talking about self-awareness and mindfulness in dating with yoga teacher, co-owner of the Triad Yoga Institute in Greensboro, North Carolina, Terry Brown. Welcome to the show.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me today, Benjamin. I'm very excited about our conversation.
We're going to do this, huh?
Looks like it. It's too late. I've signed up. Here we go.
Record has been hit. We're going to create something. I think we're going to create some magic today. How are you, Terry?
I'm doing wonderful today, and I'm very glad to see you. We miss seeing you at the studio and yoga classes in Greensboro.
I miss going there. I need to get back. I'm not too far away, just about an hour down the road in Chapel Hill, but Greensboro, my hometown. And when I moved back home to, start my business, Triad Yoga was one of my homes away from home.
Wonderful.
So, all right, we're going to learn a little bit more about you at the start of the show today. How do you feel about that?
I don't mind talking about my history and yoga. I actually enjoy talking about it because it is a very important part of my life. It wasn't planned. I got caught off guard when I was about 25 years old, 1984. I remember it like it was yesterday, with a lot of back pain. And I was thinking, I think I'm a little bit too young for all this pain. And I mentioned to a friend of mine, I should also state, I was living in Greenville, North Carolina at the time. Mentioned to a friend of mine, I think I'm going to have to go see a chiropractor or a physical therapist or somebody about my back. She said, before you do that, come with me to my yoga class. Now, at that time in Greenville, remember, this is 1984.
Yes.
You weren't even born yet, were you, Benjamin?
No, I was coming. I was on my way the next year, but I had not arrived yet.
See? Well, at that time, there was one teacher. Her name was Suzanne Belandi, and I'm very grateful for her. And she only taught one night a week. She taught 2 classes on Tuesday night. A beginner class, followed by a more intermediate level class. And so I went with my friend, and right away felt this is very helpful because of the stretching and the postures and the movement. It seemed to help me. It started off slow. I don't believe that yoga is a quick fix, and I learned that right away. I would feel better after classes, and then the more I went, the better I felt. I felt like I give her credit for the first year I studied with her that she kind of got me out of pain. She helped back me out of where I was. And then the second year, we really focused on the tools that I needed to be responsible for myself, for me to be able to realize what was going to happen with my back and what I could do to then help get myself out of the tension and the pain that was happening.
Okay.
So that's how that began.
That is how you found your way into this practice of yoga.
Yep, and I never left it. People come and go. They
Yes.
wave in and out all the time. We hear, people. I run into people in Greensboro now because the studio has been in Greensboro now for 25 years.
Wow.
And I know I say that all the time. I never intended for to have a yoga studio, and
Oops.
especially one that's still in existence. And people will say, "Well, I mean to come back. I was coming, and I stopped coming for some reason, and I mean to
Hmm.
come back." But for me,
Hmm.
I never left it
Yeah.
because it did so much for me. It's not only transformative for the body, but it's also transformative for the mind. Because what happened for me was, as I continued to study and practice in my little baby yoga years, I started feeling less stressed with my job. I
Mm.
started feeling less stressed around people. And it wasn't like I planned that. It just sort
Yeah.
of started happening naturally. So
Yeah.
it's like a side effect that I discovered that,
Yeah.
wow, this stuff is mind body.
Mm.
It's everything. So
Yeah.
that inspired me to want to stick with it.
And that's why, I mean, one of the many reasons I'm really glad you're here today. I think, yeah, because Flirties are going to be listening from all over the world that have some experience, awareness, knowledge of yoga. They've dabbled, they're regular practicers, students. They have never set foot in a studio. They have different ideas and just conceptions about what yoga is, what it looks like, what it entails. But I love hearing this part of your studio or this part of your story and leading to the opening of Triad Yoga, because somehow I hear this over and over, and I bet you hear this from students too, that we find yoga seems to call to us. Like we somehow find our way there that isn't always I don't know, a choice in the sense that, ooh, I really want to do that. But somehow we find ourselves in a class, in a studio, whether we're working on our minds, our bodies, some combination thereof. And more often than not, we keep coming back. Even if we take long breaks, we seem to always find our way back.
I agree with you completely.
Yeah.
Great. And it is interesting to, be in a position of, a studio owner and seeing the people who do leave and then do come back. And
Yeah.
and that's fine, because everybody's journey is different. And,
Yes.
so we have to give everybody, credit for their lives and what they're experiencing and what they're trying out. And so
Yes.
it's fine.
Yeah. And so we're going to be really focusing the conversation today on that mind, body, soul connection, on self-awareness, on mindfulness, and just how we can transcend a lot of those limiting beliefs, a lot of the criticism and judgments that we pass upon ourselves, whether we're dating, whether we're flirting, we're in relationships. I think we tell ourselves a lot of things that can hold us back from just our full potential, from really connecting, really identifying with our true self, our true nature, which is interestingly the whole point of yoga. It's not.
Correct.
It's not, and I promise, Flirties, we're not going to be talking about yoga alone this whole conversation. But what does yoga mean to you? You talked about the mind-body connection. Yeah, curious to hear a little bit more about that.
To me, we do have a history of, you mentioned it, the limiting beliefs.
Mm-hmm.
And that comes from our experiences, what we're taught as we're brought up, happens to us while we're in school. And then we get to a certain point in our lives and we realize we're not reaching our goals. We don't, and since the conversation is, companionship and dating and partnership, we wonder, well, why can't I snatch up that person in my life? We're looking around at everybody else. and that's step one, is to stop looking around at everybody else. We have to sort of look inside ourselves, and yoga helps you do that. It helps you turn inward, to learn a little bit more about yourself. So one of the things that I appreciate about yoga and what I've studied and learned from the philosophical teachings of yoga, especially from the Yoga Sutras, is that we should stop and study ourselves. We should look at our limiting beliefs. And if you don't know what they are, all you have to do is have good conversations with your friends, and they're going to start to point out some of the things that they think about you. And you can start reflecting on that, going like, I got so mad when they said this to me, and yet it's true. And then when you have the information, instead of being mad about what someone's was an informant about yourself. You
Yeah.
you don't get mad at them. You appreciate that, and then you have that to work on. And yoga gives you the tools for transformation.
Yeah.
For example, if you discovered a limiting belief like I'm not good enough to have a relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Limiting
Mm-hmm.
belief. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not good enough. Nobody likes me. Maybe it's my appearance, and or maybe it's my personality that people don't like, or maybe I don't have a profession that people are attracted to. So there's
Mm-hmm.
all these things that we say about ourselves, and what we need to do is change the conversation. We need to find an affirmation, for example.
Mm.
That would be one way in yoga to do your meditation, get your mind quiet, and start repeating a different story and let it become a replacement for your limiting belief. Create a new belief. Because all of
Mm.
belief is something that you repeated to yourself until you finally state it as fact.
Yeah.
And it's not fact, but we
No, it's
believe
not.
it's fact.
No, it's not fact. We believe it, and it feels factual because we can feel it so intensely. Like the body remembers, the body holds on to these emotions and these beliefs that then get internalized, and they become, yeah, you say something to yourself over and over for long enough, or you hear it from other people. Yeah, you kind of start to you believe it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And so you just want to figure out what it is you want to work on, and you don't have
Uh-huh.
to do them all at once. You can, because some of us have these long lists of
Yes. Yes.
limiting beliefs and stories that we tell ourselves. So just pick one thing at a time and just work on that. And set your intention and then keep your focus locked in. You do
Yeah.
your meditation too is what feels best for you. So I'm never feel like I'm really in a place to tell somebody this is how you should meditate, but give
Mm-hmm.
people tools on finding and discovering what meditation style works best for you. What are you comfortable with? How can we
Yeah.
quieten those stories that are continuously playing in the head? You've got to get yourself out of the way, that
Yeah.
mind chatter.
Yeah.
And then you can start inserting your new story.
Mm,
And that's part of yoga. But
it
most people
is.
think about yoga as all the physical postures, but
Yes.
it's much, much more. It's also the mind, that crazy, busy mind.
Yeah. Far more than just some breathing and some moves, some triangles, some warriors, which is what I thought yoga was. But then when I was doing my training and you learn about the 8 limbs of yoga, the asana and the pranayama, the movement and the breath, very important, but only 2 of the 8 limbs, a very only a portion of what makes a complete yoga practice. All of
Exactly.
these, yeah, and you mentioned self-study, all of these practices really leading us to the final limb of elevating consciousness, of enlightenment, of really that connection to our true self, our true nature. A lot of yoga teachers will say, who are you beyond the stories, beyond the beliefs? Who are you truly underneath all of that? And that is what yoga is about. If you choose to really bring it in, practice it in a way that connects the mind, the body with the soul, bringing in mindfulness, meditation, all those things, it is a path back home to you. That is what yoga for me truly is and has been about. It's a practice. I mean, I am still, good Lord, untangling, unlearning all of these beliefs of I'm not good enough, right? That I must somehow prove myself to be loved, that I don't deserve it. Like I've had all of these experiences too. So now I want to talk to you a little bit about how you help your students with mindfulness and meditation, because I want to play through a few scenarios where I know there's going to be some flirties listening that just they can't even sit still. They
Well, that's true. Oh
yeah.
my goodness, that's so true. Step one, I think, is the physical practices, because it's hard to sit sometimes when your body is a distraction, when your
Hmm.
aches and your pains, and so
Yeah.
you've got to get your body a little bit happier and healthier, so it's not a distraction, and feeling good about your body.
Mm.
I think one of the positive benefits of the yoga practices is that when you achieve something, you you've set up a conversation in your mind. You don't think you can achieve a certain pose, and then you have a teacher who really takes you through all these little steps to help get you prepared for it, and then suddenly, boom, you're in a pose that you said you couldn't do. That moment, something happens within you, and there's a flip, a switch flips, and you go like, oh my God, I can do this.
I can, yeah.
And that I can do that moment in the physical part of yoga then can help us in the mental realm also. And so then what happens when we're ready for that part? Well, we got to have some tools. We do have to sit still. We can't. Well, you can do walking meditations, but
sure.
You can't go on a walking meditation and think about all your problems.
Yeah, you're looking here, there, and every which way. Oh, the bird. Oh, that. Oh, look at that. Yeah, that's
So
not quite.
Step one would be finding something to focus on. Again, taking your mind away from the chatter to something that you say, okay, I can sit here and what can I keep my mind steadily focused on? Well, a positive, easy to access tool is the breath. Just watching the inhale and the exhale, and people say, well, that's kind of boring, but it's like the story of the monk who held his student's head underwater when he had said the breath is boring. He held his head underwater and then lifted his head up and said, now do you think the breath is boring? So it becomes a tool, and you can also create the sound, and that's another layer. So you've got your ujjayi sound, it's called, which is made by closing your vocal cords.
Absolutely.
Then you have the little whisper inside of your head. So you have the sound and the breath. So that helps you. And then you maybe add an affirmation on that. There's another layer. So you say, okay, I've got 3 things. You're making me use my mind a lot, aren't you? And I'm, but it's at least taking you away from the chatter of your I'm not good enough stories, and I will never achieve these goals. And what am I doing? I'm not going to ever be able to find that perfect person. You take your mind away from that so that you feel better about yourself. And also, you've got the breath, you've got the ujjayi sound, you've got the affirmation. But I think one of the best things to do, which adds another layer to your meditation, is the feeling. Make sure that you create a positive feeling inside yourself, whatever that means to you. If it's before you meditate, tell yourself a story that makes you, or grab hold of a memory that makes you feel good. Let the memory go, but keep the good positive feeling. So now you've got 4 things. You've got the breath, the sound, the affirmation, and a positive feeling. And hold on to those for 5-10 minutes, whatever you got that day. That will help. It really does help. I can testify. But you got to practice it. And that's a big component of yoga. Patanjali in his Yoga Sutras, he gives us that word abhyasa, which means a dedicated practice over an extended period of time, uninterrupted and with enthusiasm. So you can't be unmotivated. You got to be excited about it. I can do this.
Yes. I love those practices so much. And it's a couple things that are coming to mind now are, because sometimes I'll say in yoga class that it's about bringing space into your experiences, into your stories, where let's say you're starting to date someone and maybe, they don't text you back, and now you're swimming in some fear, oh my God, fear of abandonment, fear of rejection, fear of not feeling good enough, or now you feel like you have to chase, or, you're just kind of going into maybe some unhealthy coping mechanisms, some patterns of behavior that haven't served you well in the past. How can you bring just that little bit of space in between your thoughts, in between your experiences, and in that space you then create something new for yourself with the breath, with the affirmations, and then with a consistent practice? I also get this question of, well, how do I learn to trust others when I'm dating, when I feel like I've been heartbroken in the past, I've been lied to, I've been cheated on? You've got to trust yourself first. You've got to learn to trust yourself first. That's where it starts. It all begins with you. And how do you trust yourself? You dedicate yourself to something consistently. Doesn't have to be yoga, doesn't have to be meditation, doesn't have to be mindfulness, but commit yourself to something consistently. You got to prove to yourself that you can stick with something.
That's perfectly said, Benjamin. That's
good.
very wise. Very well.
I try because I've had all of these experiences dating. And even though I am still single and dating, I'm searching, I'm looking for my person, right? I really want that relationship. But something that I've played with somewhat recently, and I want to get your input on this as well, is that oftentimes when we're dating, or this could be with anything, with career, with education, we try and force things. We try and run towards the thing. But something that I really believe in is that what you seek is seeking you. But if you're always running away, how can what you seek find you, right?
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, sometimes it seems counterintuitive and counterproductive to be still, but sometimes in stillness, that's when the real magic happens. It's a matter of, can you actually be with yourself?
Be present and
Yeah.
get out of your own way.
Ooh. Easier said than done. All right, how about we chat? Let's chat about self-awareness now. I think we talked about mindfulness and getting into a little bit of meditation and why that can be such an important and powerful practice, whether you're dating or not, whether you're in a relationship or not, just to come back to you, have some of that curiosity around your stories, your beliefs, your thoughts, your feelings, what you're telling yourself, and noticing all of that without criticism or judgment. That's a big thing when it comes to yoga and mindfulness. Is we got to just have more patience and compassion with ourselves. So transitioning a little bit over to self-awareness, would you say self-awareness is kind of looks the same? Would you describe it the same way, or maybe it's a different experience? From mindfulness.
So you're wanting me to compare consciousness and self-awareness. They sort of feel similar. I think that because being conscious is being self-aware to me.
Okay.
I mean, I am going to be aware of self. I'm going to align my thoughts, my beliefs, my actions. I'm going to align those with my deepest desires.
Okay.
It's really about finding the right path to programming your own GPS system, or your own internal guidance system. And if you do the work of the mind and you're looking at aligning your thoughts and your beliefs and your actions, then that GPS system is going to be like your intuition that then guides you in the right direction.
Yeah.
Of what your deepest desires are.
Yeah. Talk a little bit more about that, of aligning, that process of alignment that happens. I'm glad you described self-awareness and consciousness in that way, that it really is very similar to mindfulness. There's a lot of parallels there. I think sometimes if you're reading articles, you're online, social media, listening to podcasts, you see all of these terms and it seems like they're all different things, but I think they're really cut from the same cloth. So I thank you for bringing some context into that. So now about alignment, though, how can we? Yeah.
Well, you to help align yourself better with your consciousness, your being self-aware, align yourself with your deepest desires.
Yeah.
Is that what you're asking? Yeah. You've got, I like to think of it. Now, works for me. I like to think of myself as a vibrational being.
Okay.
And how I feel, how I think, and how I feel affects my vibration.
Okay.
So if I'm sad, worried, frustrated, anger, looking at bad news, having remembering and replaying over a bad incident during the day, a difficult situation, then my vibration is low. But if I'm positive and can hold my focus on the good things in my life, like gratitude. I mean, we forget about what we should be grateful for sometimes. I mean, just keep a journal, write down all the time what you're grateful for. That outnumbers what we're worried about all the time. I'm grateful for my home. I'm grateful for my pets. I'm grateful that I'm having an afternoon with Benjamin. These are the things that we have to remember. So then as we develop a more positive attitude, we elevate our vibration.
Okay.
And then that, that helps us with attracting what we're looking for in life too. That goes back to your original question, which was
something, Terry.
you got me off on the vibration.
No, that's perfect though. I'm really happy.
Yeah.
You took it in that direction. Because now I have a couple follow-up questions. I know some of the flirties are thinking one or both of these two thoughts. I try and put myself in their shoes and in their minds. And there's at least one flirty that's going to be thinking, well, I don't even know what I desire. I'm not even sure what I want. So how can we go past the stories, maybe what someone told us we should want, what we feel like society or family told us we should prioritize or we should have, to really uncover what our true desires are?
Well, I think we have to reflect on, if we don't know, we have to reflect on what it is that we have had in our past experiences that made us feel good.
Ooh,
what has happened in my last 2 or 3 or 4 years, and these moments were really special to me, and that can help then lead you to what your desires are, because you're certainly not going to want to go in the direction of anything that made you feel bad and you were wishing you were anywhere but at that moment in that place. But if you felt happy and joyful from an experience that you had, then that can become your focus for your desires. And it's like a clue. It might not be what you do desire, but you can look upon it as a clue, a seed that then is going to lead you into the next part of your experience, peeling away the layers of what's clouding your mind that holds you back from your desires. That's part of, that's from the Yoga Sutras, doing the meditations to help remove the veils.
The veils, yes.
Exposing that inner light, which is, part of your heart's light energy, which is where your intuition is. And open up that heart's light, and you'll start to feel a little bit more about what you maybe desire.
Yes.
We hope,
That's the goal. Oh, I'm so glad you mentioned the veils. It's like, those cobwebs, the cloudiness of the mind. It's like if you can visualize your third eye, right, that midpoint of the brow. It's like when you just close your eyes, you take a few deep breaths and you concentrate on that part of your body. What color light do you see? Do you even see a light? What do you visualize? What do you feel? And it's like, sometimes it's just, we got a lot of veils just blocking ourselves. I wanted to ask you this question now, because we're kind of talking about fulfillment and contentment. Santosha, right there in the 8 limbs of
yoga principles.
Oh my gosh, absolutely. I've often heard, I know the flirties have as well, that happiness is a choice. I want to get that is a phrase that oftentimes irritated me, but I want to get your POV on that, Terry. Is happiness a choice?
It is irritating, isn't it? Especially when you're in a bad mood. Then you really don't want to hear it play. Well, you could choose to be happy, and then you really want to just.
If only it were that easy.
If I pushed you off the cliff, then I would really be happy for saying that to me. But it is a choice. You get to choose how you feel, and we're stuck in this yogic term is samskaras, which are like the grooves in a record that is got a scratch on it, so it skips. The record is skipping. So the samskara is our habit of thought, the story that keeps being repeated, and we can't seem to break that pattern. And so if we say I can't choose to be happy, I'm just miserable, and then we're going to play that samskara. Now I do believe that we have to acknowledge that there are some people with some chemical imbalances in their systems, and so they may have to have some professional assistance. So we have to, I always feel like I have to acknowledge that. A yoga therapy background, but there are some of us that are just unhappy and detached from the idea that we could choose to be happy just because we've been unhappy for so long. We've been
Yeah.
stuck in our stories and our patterns. And I feel like, in my yoga journey and my meditations have helped me to understand that I get to choose how I feel. Even
Mm.
and I do believe that because some people have said you can't feel two emotions at once. It's just not possible. And there may be a certain level of truth to that. But at the same time, I believe that I could be sad that I lost my pet and happy I won $1 million.
Mm.
So I
Hmm.
can have two emotions at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
So we can be experiencing some stories maybe that are a little bit difficult, but at the same time work on our happiness.
Yeah.
And I think also if you are struggling with your with that feeling, then find things, and you've already mentioned this, but find things that you can do that will break you out of your patterns. Like
Yes.
go for a walk. And if
Mhm.
if you're sitting in your house being sad and depressed, all you have to do is just go outside and walk in a neighborhood. If you don't have a good neighborhood, find one. Get out of your car
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
go for a walk and go be around some positive energy people. Find clubs and organizations to participate in that
Yeah.
bring you a little joy.
Bring you
Just
some joy.
going to like we talk about in karma yoga is the yoga of action, doing good for people. So you
Yes.
just go to a homeless shelter and help prepare a meal.
Mm-hmm.
That can give you a little joy at that moment. And
Absolutely.
so that'll help you for a moment not think about woe is me.
Yeah. Dare I say, even flirt to make yourself feel better. I think
There you go.
that is a valid reason to flirt for sure. But this is all, thank you. That was really, really helpful because that phrase that happiness, I understand it much more now. I understand kind of the nuances of it, that happiness is a choice. I think you were speaking to the duality of life with that answer, that we can experience anger and joy at the same time. We can experience happiness and sadness at the same time. It's not like we have to limit ourselves exclusively to only one feeling or emotion. And something that helped me and continues to help me is, even if I feel like happiness is elusive, I can make choices that at least set up my future self for to receive that happiness. So instead of doom scrolling, right, checking someone's snap score, or right, are they active on Instagram or social media, or you're reviewing text message threads from your ex or something like that, not a helpful habit. Flirty, but can you go for a walk? Can you go to the gym? Can you call a friend? Can you cook something? Can you make yourself tea instead of going for alcohol or something like that? It's just about those micro practices, those micro habits, day in and day out, reflecting back on the theme of self-trust, of just connecting to yourself. Oftentimes what we need is just to connect to ourselves, not distract ourselves. And that's too often. I mean, we all do it. I do it still. Just look to distract ourselves. Yeah.
Yes, yes, yes. You said something so important too about like making tea
Mm,
or cooking a meal, and I
mm.
think that that's something else that can be very influential in helping you feel better,
Yes.
putting you in a better place. Is pay attention to what you do feed your body,
Oh,
put in that body, and making sure you choose that cup of tea instead of
yeah.
well, what can you do for the body, make it feel better, and then we can work on the mind. And I agree with you. Find some guys to flirt with. Why not, right? Girls, whatever you're interested in,
Absolutely.
just have a little fun. And even if nothing happens, the chemicals that are released into your bloodstream from the act of flirting are very powerful.
Heck
If you
yeah.
go with it and then be done with it, going about your grocery shopping and your studies and your work, and then you say, "Oh, I'm kind of feeling bad." We'll find someone to flirt with again.
I love it.
You just get it's
Flirting
like
for happiness.
a dose of some medicine. I need a little medicine. I'll find someone to flirt with.
A spoonful of flirting, Terry, I think, just makes life a little bit easier, day in and day out. All right, we've got one more topic on the outline today, as we've been talking about consciousness, mindfulness, self-awareness, really tapping into these practices so that we can transcend our old patterns, beliefs, stories, limiting beliefs, all of that good stuff, so that we can align ourselves with our desires, our true nature. That's been the intention of this interview so far. I think we've gotten there.
Yeah, it is a lot too, but
It's a lot.
It's
Yeah.
a lot, but for those who are listening, don't freak out and think, "Oh, I got to do this all at once."
Oh my God. Yes.
Yeah, I remember I've been doing this for 40 years, and I still feel like I've only scratched the surface. So it's still peeling away layers of my old stories and my old memories and beliefs. But the good news is that we can use what we learn bit by bit by taking your classes, by taking our classes, by even self-study a little bit. Just pick up a book of the Yoga Sutras, read a little bit about that, and just peel away these layers. Find someone to help you learn how to meditate, and taking it day by day. Oh, and that gratitude journal. Keep writing that journal, because feeling grateful for what you have can change your whole day, especially when you had a good flirt session. Make sure you document it.
Yoga and some flirting for the win. Harry, yeah, because what all of this does is it just, like, the word that's coming to mind is belief. And it just helps you believe that the love you seek, you absolutely deserve. It's possible. It's out there for you. But it really does start with yourself. And once you have that unwavering belief and connection to yourself, not to say every day it's going to be easy or every day it's going to be there. These are practices that you'll come back to over and over. But dating as a whole, it just becomes simpler. Because it's no longer, do they like me, trying to be liked? It's, do I like them? You're at the center. You're the chooser. You're not going to tolerate bad dating behavior. You're not going to sacrifice your own wants and desires, your own boundaries. None of that. A lot of those habits that we've all had and may continue to have, they just start to fall away. They peel away. And you're left with you. And you know that at the end of the day, even if you only have you, that's pretty darn good. Yeah.
I agree completely. And I'm just going to mention, give a little plug for the Heart Math Institute and research that they've done on everyone learning how to feel the love within your own heart and expand that love. And so if anyone's interested, do a little research on their work, because that is about self-love.
Yes.
Connecting to your own inner heart, and how what their research shows is how beneficial to your whole overall health that is.
Wildly beneficial. It's incredible. Just living more of a heart-centered life. I mean, my tagline is get out of your head and into the flirt, get out of your head and into your heart. So you start to feel your way through dating and through flirting, rather than trying to think and analyze your way through it all, which, I mean, we can use our minds in many ways, but sometimes we just want to feel. It's a little simpler, perhaps, in the long run. Okay, the last thing I wanted to talk to you about is anxiety. There's a lot of flirties that got some pretty significant dating anxiety. Maybe they identify as an anxious attacher, but wanted to leave them today with a couple of practices, maybe one or two, that they can bring into their lives for anxiety.
Well, one of the things that, I mean, there's a lot of physical practices.
Yes.
For anxiety, there's a whole study done on what, if you suffer from anxiety, what are some of the best poses, and putting yourself in a forward bend, for example, where your heart is higher than your head.
Yes.
Has a calming effect. And then like being inverted, and if you don't do headstand and shoulder stand, downward facing dog is a good inversion. So those are they can help with anxiety. But what I do, because it's tough when you're in that anxious space, is it's like that person that's telling you, well, you can choose to be happy, and you just want to drive over them. Because you're so upset, but how can you tell me, don't you see what I'm going through? So it takes us back to finding your own space that you can be in with that anxiety, and then using your breath and the voice inside your head that can, you start telling yourself that different story. You're like, I recognize that I'm anxious. I'm not going to try to stop it. I'm not going to deny it, but I'm going to try to soften it. Use my breath, and I'm going to use my stillness, and then when I calm down enough, then you can start using your other tools, your practices, your meditations,
Yes.
your pranayamas.
Yes.
You gotta give yourself space to be in the anxious feelings at first.
Yeah, and this is where, coming back full circle, I love when conversations and practices, that I teach. I feel like I try and always bring my classes back full circle. Here we come back to mindfulness and self-awareness, and the part of the conversation on creating space, non-judgment in this, in these experiences. Yeah, it can be really, really helpful to notice that anxiety without then giving it, attaching to it that extra weight, that extra importance or significance of, oh, it has to mean this, right? We oftentimes give our anxiety so much meaning. And it can be helpful as a clue. We can notice it, but then to identify with it, which is what I did for forever, it seems like. Wow, this has been really, really amazing to talk to you today, Terry. Thank you we're not done just yet, but we are going to start to wrap up.
Well, I'm enjoying it. I didn't know what to expect, and I'm very happy to have had this experience with you.
Good. Yeah, I pitched this to you. We hopped on a call, set it up. How is this your first podcast?
It is my first podcast.
What? Your first one?
And I'm very impressed with your professionalism. My
what? Oh, yeah. Well, thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah, I hope this has been a good experience for you.
It has been. I've enjoyed it.
Good. All right. Let's leave the flirties with just some parting thoughts, words of wisdom, anything that's maybe coming to mind that you'd like to share with them before we conclude.
Recognize your fears and your self-doubts, and just start with small projects to start changing your belief system around those. Your meditations, and within your meditation, state a new belief, a new affirmation, something that you want to make real. And always state your affirmations as if they're done. Because if you state it as if it's something that you desire or you want, that still puts it off into the future. So let's have the conversation about our desires as in the present tense.
Okay. Let's leave the flirties with an example. Let's say they are thinking to themselves or telling themselves, I'm not good enough. How can they reframe that as an affirmation in the present moment?
I am all that I need.
I am all that I need. I felt the energy shift just then. Wow. Okay. I love that. I am all that I need. That's going on a Post-it in my mirror in the bathroom.
So how did you get involved in being a flirt coach? Because you've been doing this for quite a while, and it seems like a lot of fun for you.
It is a lot of fun. I mean, kind of how I stumbled my way into yoga a little bit. I just kept following the breadcrumbs, right? I found myself into coaching, and then it was more kind of health and wellness, and then it became kind of self-discovery, alignment type stuff, and then found my way into flirting and dating, and this was the one that stuck. This is the one that I have the most desire for, that I feel like I'm really good at. That's what we're doing.
Well, you are good at it.
Thank you so much, Mr. Terry Brown. Thank you so much. And now for the flirties that are perhaps local in the Triad area of North Carolina, would like to come visit you at Triad Yoga. Yes, a little bit about your studio here and some of the classes you offer.
Right. Well, we're on Market Street in Greensboro, and we've been here for 25 years. I'm still can't believe I say that. We offer classes every day, but some days there may be only just one class. It just depends. But some of our specialty classes that I really appreciate are that we are do a more therapeutic approach to yoga, where Like, for example, we have a healthy back and spine class.
Yes.
We have a yoga therapy class where we're addressing issues with people that have difficulty doing a regular class, like someone who has multiple sclerosis, maybe, or severe scoliosis, things like that. So we do have the therapeutic approaches, but then we have the regular classes, like the beginner classes and the mixed level classes, and then the level 2 classes. And then Jerry, the co-owner, teaches yoga for seniors, and that's a very popular class. And so gentle yoga for those who want something very soft and gentle.
I love it. Do yourself a favor and head on down to Triad Yoga, see Terry or any one of the teachers there. I can say from personal experience, amazing studio, love going there, really helpful in my own yoga journey. So Terry Brown, thank you so much for being on the show today. Maybe we say this together. I am all that I need, leaving the flirties with that. Terry, thank you so much.
Namaste.
Namaste.
All right, flirties, that's a wrap on this episode of Flirtations, the Mind, Body, Soul episode, the Mindfulness, Meditation, Self-Awareness episode, the Transcending Limiting Beliefs and Elevating Consciousness episode, a little bit of the yoga episode. How do we combine all of these things into one episode? Well, we work magic over here at Flirt Headquarters, and it oftentimes, truly, most of the time, all of the time actually, comes back to the guest. So thank you to Terry Brown for sharing so much magic, insight, and wisdom with us on this episode today. And if you're in the Triad area of North Carolina, Greensboro, High Point, Winston-Salem, somewhere in the vicinity, go to Triad Yoga. Please do. Highly recommend checking out Terry's class and any of the other classes on the schedule. I guarantee you won't be disappointed. In fact, I bet you'll be enlightened and much calmer after the experience. All right. Thank you to you, the flirties, for tuning in, for streaming, for listening, wherever you may be in the world. I could not do any of this without you. You truly make this all possible. This is all for you. Please rate, review, subscribe to the show if you haven't already. If you have, thank you so much, truly from the bottom of my heart. And now share this episode or another episode of Flirtations with a friend, a family member, a coworker, a neighbor, someone you even mildly like that has a phone and some Wi-Fi internet connection. Yeah, I would love you for it. All right. I've said all the things. Signing off officially here at Flirt Headquarters. My name is Benjamin. I'm the Flirt Coach and Gay Libra Flirty. Happy flirting.